Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. If you're new, my name is Kristen, and today I'm going to be showing you guys 20 fall wreaths. These are some really fun and great ideas on a budget. Also, they are really simple and easy to do. So you guys, let's get started, and I'm going to show you guys 20 fall wreath DIY ideas. To start this video off with a brand new wreath, I'm going to be using this tobacco basket. This was free and given to me. This lamb's ear from Walmart. I have also had this along with these pumpkins. These are from Hobby Lobby. I don't know why it took me so long to think of that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just stick these in the corners. So I'm going to just lay them on top of each other. They actually came with a twisty tie, so I just put the twisty tie right back on. I'm just making this a really simple, nice looking basket. I didn't really want to do too much to this. I just really wanted it simple and plain. I did end up taking some hot glue and gluing the lamb's ear to the basket. Once the lamb's ear was glued down, I just took the pumpkins and started gluing them. I glued the big one to the corner and then the other two along the sides. Some of this decor, I'm not really sure what to call this. They're like little beads or, yeah, I don't know. I picked it up at Joann's after Christmas. They had a huge 75% off sale, so I thought I would just add just little pieces of this. So I cut that down and just kind of started sticking it in. I didn't even glue these together, but I thought this looked super, super cute. Very plain, but it's exactly what I imagined, so I love this one. This one is a frame wreath. I'm just using a leftover frame I had from an old canvas, and then I'm going to be using this Dollar Tree sign. It says grateful, thankful, blessed, and then I'm going to use some florals from the Dollar Tree as well. And then this greenery came from a garage sale, so I'm going to be using that as well, but you can use any type of greenery you want. And I just tore off the thankful piece, but I did keep the ribbon so I could hot glue the ribbon to the back of the frame so it would be hanging. And then now I'm just adding the greenery, and then once that is all laid out, I'm putting it on the left-hand side and then the bottom, and then I'll be adding the florals to the top as well. And this is all I did. This was really simple and easy. It's a cute, different type of wreath. So yeah, if you have any frames laying around, you could definitely do this one too. this next one, I'm just using this large vine wreath. I think I picked this up at Goodwill, and then I just tore everything apart. I love finding things at Goodwill because this was only $2 or $3. And then this greenery I just bought from a garage sale with a huge garbage bag for only $5. So I end up cutting the greenery apart. You can see in the beginning I didn't, but I definitely needed to cut it. And then I'm just adding the pieces inside. I didn't even have to glue anything in case I do want to reuse this, which you guys probably know that I already will be reusing this. But yeah, this was really simple and easy. And then if you didn't want to do this for fall, you could just change out the sign and take out the pumpkins. So you're going to see here, I'm adding all the greenery. And then once that was done, I added these little pumpkin picks from the Dollar Tree to this. And then you will also see me add a sign to the middle. I love adding signs to the middle. I think they're super cute. And then that came from Dollar General for only $1. Dollar General has some really cute signs. Yeah, this one was yet again another easy wreath. Alright, so the next one is a pine cone wreath. You'll need this wreath form from Dollar Tree along with a bunch of little pine cones. The girls and I picked these up in front of the dog's vet office. So these were absolutely free. We had a huge bag of them. I cleaned them up, make sure there's no bugs in them. You can definitely like put them in your oven and heat them up to kill all the bugs. Do that so you don't have any little critters running around in your house. The hot glue was super messy. It was dripping like crazy, but I managed. This took forever. I will not lie. These are really little pine cones, but I thought this would be such a cute little idea to do, so I wanted to do that. And then now I'm just adding some greenery. I use this in the other DIY as well, or the other wreath. I have a lot of this laying around, so I really just wanted to use what I have instead of buying more. Like I said, this was from a yard sale. And then these little flowers, I don't know what these were called. These were from Walmart last year. I don't know if they have them again this year, but I have had these not knowing what to do with them. So I thought this would be cute to cut them up and put them on this wreath. And then since I still had a little bit of that sign left over from the previous little frame wreath, I thought I would add one more, and this one says grateful. And that's it for this one. Really easy as well. This second one is just an easy felt wreath. I just took a wreath form from the Dollar Tree and traced it onto a piece of cardboard. And once that was completely traced, I just took some scissors and cut the cardboard piece out because that is what I'm going to be using, the cardboard. Not the wreath form, the cardboard. Using 3 felt pieces in the gray, white, and black, and I just made a leaf and then started tracing it all along the felt, and then I cut them all out so I had a bunch of leaves. And then I'm taking my cardboard piece and just gluing the felt on. I kind of started overlapping them just so it would flow nice, and I love this way. So I started with the white and then went with the black and then the gray, and then vice versa. Kept the white in the middle and then just rotated the black and the gray. And I think this is a really super inexpensive, easy little project to do. The next one is this acorn wreath. I use 6 to 7 bags of acorns from the Dollar Tree, this foam wreath form, and then I'm just wrapping it around in burlap so you cannot see the green part of the wreath form. And then once the burlap was on, I just started taking my acorns and gluing them all around. And they don't have to be in a specific way. I just glued them so I would cover 90% of the burlap. This part is completely optional, but I decided to just add a bow to the top so it didn't look so plain. This was also from the Dollar Tree last year. This next one is a clearance wreath I picked up at Walmart. I love picking up clearance wreaths because you can get them for super cheap. I think this one was $4 or $5, and I loved everything on here. It just wasn't my thing, so I did end up saving all this and did it on other wreaths, or use these on other wreaths, like all the greenery and the florals and stuff. You will see that in a little while. So anyways, I just tore this whole thing apart. I ended up not keeping this wreath, and the only reason is because it fell apart so much. It was the messiest wreath I've ever had to use. You can already tell it's all falling apart in chunks everywhere, and it didn't stop from there. So once it was fully apart, I just took these little fairy lights and just wrapped them around the entire wreath. Once the lights were on, I just took the sign and used some wire to wrap it around so I could reuse it for future projects. I love reusing everything for future projects just because it's way cheaper that way. Taking these little pumpkin clips, I'm just clipping these in so I can reuse them as well. And I was able to reuse all of these actually this year. So this was last year's DIYs. This is this year's, and I use this as well. So I don't know why I'm rambling, but that's all I did here. Like I said, I took this wire and then tied the sign to the wreath. This next one is an absolute favorite of my husband's. It's a deer antler wreath. He let me use some antlers to make a wreath. This little flower came from Hobby Lobby, and then these picks came from Walmart. I'm pretty sure Walmart. Anyways, the only thing I did here was take some zip ties and zip tie the antlers. We ended up tearing this one apart too because the antlers were too big. So when people would walk through our front door, they would hit their faces on these antlers, which a couple eyes almost got caught. So we figured that was probably not worth it. I will be redoing this wreath though in some future DIYs because I want to make another fall wreath with these, just something with a little smaller rack. So I just hot glued the big flower right in the center of the antler so you couldn't see the gross skull. I know it's kind of gross if you guys don't like stuff like that. Just, it's all clean, it's all good. I did, I think, bleach these or clean these with bleach. I'm almost 90% sure. And then I'm just using the picks and stuffing them in the side so you can reuse everything here, which, like I said, we like reusing stuff in this house. And that's it for this one. next one is a cotton stem wreath. Please bear with me, and some of these are older videos, but I just love how some of these projects turned out. I'm using small wreath forms, these cotton stems from the Dollar Tree. And like I said, this was maybe 2 years ago I made this one. Using those and these little pumpkin clips. Look, it's so funny how things are like made. And then this just contact paper. And I actually put this in a frame. I will not go super into that because I'm just laying contact paper on glass and putting that back in the frame. Then I'm taking these small wreath forms and I'm just cutting down the cotton stems, and I am just going to wrap these around so I'm able to reuse them. I don't know how many times I'm going to say I reuse this, I reuse that, but I truly did. And like I said, that's how you save money when you craft. You just, if you don't like something, or you do like it but you want to make something different but you don't have room, that's when this comes in handy. And I just took some twine and tied it all around so it would stay in place. And then I just added the pumpkins in the end, and this turned out super cute. I actually still have this. Do I have this? Not sure if I still have this, but I'm pretty sure, yeah, I have it somewhere. But anyways, this was super simple and super easy as well. In this next one, I'm just using one of these vine wrapped wreaths. I grabbed this form from a garage sale for $1, but I know that they have them at Dollar Tree, so you can definitely use them from there, or Hobby Lobby and Michael's, wherever you buy. So I had a bunch of leftovers from the wreath I tore apart in the beginning of this video that I ended up using along with some other pieces and some florals that were from Dollar Tree, and I mixed them all together, added a Dollar Tree bow, and that was it for this one. Super, super simple. This is actually one of my favorites. You'll need a wreath form and then some burlap and then these long pumpkin stems. I think they actually carry these once again at the Dollar Tree. These I grabbed last year. But what I like to do when I make wreaths, I always like to wrap the burlap. So that is all I'm doing here, and then I will eventually add everything else with some hot glue. And then these right here are the longer picks, and then I had these pine cones. These are from Walmart last year as well. And then all I'm doing is taking hot glue and gluing everything. You can always cut down the long picks, and that's what I did. And then I had a bunch of different colored pumpkins, and I just wrapped them around and filled in the wreath form. And like I said, I like using burlap because even if a little bit of burlap shows, it still looks really pretty underneath. So I don't worry too much about covering that. I just do like covering the edges or the ends of the picks just so you can't see where I cut them off at. This one is an apple sign wreath, and I love this one. I just reused some burlap from a previous wreath. Like I said, I make so many of these, and there is no way I could keep these around. I could definitely give them away, but it's fun just having a creative mind and coming up with new ideas for wreaths, and I always do keep a few because I do have my favorites. This one right here, this is kind of the way I like to make wreaths. I usually take some boxwood greenery from Walmart or boxwood greenery from anywhere really, but I just always buy it from Walmart. And then I just kind of lay it out to figure out where I want it, and then I take some hot glue and start off with the greenery. I just grabbed some sunflowers and different types of mums and florals from the Dollar Tree, and I just figure out what is going to match the sign I have in the center of the wreath and go from there. So it doesn't really matter what color scheme you like. Like I said, I just go for whatever matches the inside of the sign, or I guess if you're not using a sign, you could do whatever color florals you want as long as they match and look cute. I know all fall colors match to me, so it wouldn't really matter. I love these mini mums. I use mini mums for tons and tons of wreaths. You will see that later on. But that's all I did here. And then I used an apple wreath sign and stuck it right in the center from Dollar Tree. This next one, I'm using a wreath form florals from Dollar Tree and one of the wreath forms along with this Farm Fresh pumpkin. And some of these pumpkins, they're smaller ones. These actually came from Michael's, I think, a few years back. I love shopping after the holiday sales, so sometimes I don't really remember where I get things, but normally it's either from Walmart or Dollar Tree, sometimes Hobby Lobby, sometimes Michael's. Using my nice little burlap wrap around the wreath form, I am doing that once again with this one. Another simple easy tip I have is cut all the florals down before you start. Sometimes I like doing this, sometimes I don't, just because once in a great while I have leftovers which I could have done something else with, but I used everything you see here. I didn't miss a beat. So every single thing that I cut, I used, starting off with boxwood. Like I said, that's how I start off with wreaths, and then I start just filling everything in. I don't have any kind of pattern, nothing of that sort, but like I said, I just add the greenery and then I start adding the flowers in the holes, and that is how I work when I make wreaths. I definitely think if you have some cute little wreath like this, it is super fun to add little pine cones and pumpkins in here. I really think this made a lot of the wreath look just a little bit better and pop a little bit more. And then I just used this sign with some wire and wrapped it in. You can definitely not have to use a sign, but I do want to tell you that this is a wreath I did end up saving because it was my favorite wreath I have ever made. It's super full, and like I said, you really don't need the sign, but I love it. Here's a fast wreath for you. I'm using this navy burlap. This is from Burlap fabric. And then I'm just going to wrap it around the foam wreath form from Dollar Tree. Wanted to make this one a little bit different, so I ended up using this raffia I picked up at Dollar Tree this year, and I just tied it off and started wrapping it around the wreath form as well. added a burlap flower. This is from Burlap Fabric as well. They have some really, really cute pieces there. And then this is Status. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. And then I just laid that, rewind, took the burlap flower off because you definitely always want to cover the little stems or what you cut. I don't know what I was thinking here, but I just cut this down and then I ended up adding the burlap flower right in the center to cover up the bottoms of these little picks or these little cut floral pieces. That's it for this one. This was super, super, super easy. Next one is also easy if you are not familiar with how to make these sort of wreaths. So I call these loop wreaths. I know there's probably a different term for it, but that is just how I like to go about explaining it. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your burlap and you are going to push the burlap through the bottom of the first wreath hole and then the second, and then you are just going to keep pushing it through the bottom until it is completely full. So you want to always hold on to the burlap or it will start falling apart. This is a smaller wreath form, so this was way easier than using the larger wreaths because there is like a 3-hold wreath. That's what I'm going to call it, 3 holes. Like this one only has the 2, and then like I said, you're just going to take the burlap, push it through the bottom, and then push it through the bottom once more, and then you just keep on going. You can make it as loopy as you want, you can make it as puffy and poofy as you want, and you can definitely, if it's something you don't like one of them, you can definitely fluff it and make it how you want when it is all complete. I usually just take some hot glue. Sometimes if you have more burlap, you can just tuck it in the underneath. That's what I do. You can see I have extra burlap right there sticking out in the middle, and that is what I do with this. I have other better tutorials on this, but this was just the easiest way to explain it, and using a smaller wreath form just works way, way better. I just decided to use a couple little pumpkins from the Dollar Tree along with another little burlap flower from Burlap Fabric. And that is it for this one. This wreath is very similar to the other ones I have made. I'm using another wreath form and then a ton of florals from the Dollar Tree once again, and the burlap. And like I said, what I do with burlap is I just wrap it around the wreath form. I don't feel like I have to tell that every single time. I guess if you want me to, I totally will. But like I said, that's just usually how I start my wreaths out anyways, just so you can't see the ugly wired wreath form. BOXWOOD greenery once again. I thought I would just skip over that part, and now I am just filling everything in with different color florals, and I'm using different florals this time because I'm using a different sort of sign. This one I actually made for my grandma. She wanted one for her front door, so I thought I would make her one. So this stays on her front door during the fall time, and I didn't have to tear it apart or anything because it is just super, super cute, and I'm so glad that she liked this just as much as I did. And I'm using this Scarecrow sign from Dollar Tree. I know they have these this year. I'm not sure if it's the same color, but like I said, I went with the same color scheme that the Scarecrow would match. I ripped the legs off because they just were not working in my favor and they weren't really necessary, so I just used the head and then the arms that held the cute little sunflower sign. And that's it. It says Happy Harvest, and that was it for this one. Super easy. This is a newer wreath I did this year. It is the Harvin's Blessings wreath. I can't talk right now. I'm using nautical rope. I'm using this white nautical rope. It is in 11 feet from Dollar Tree. You'll need 4 of these. And then you'll need the brown nautical rope from Dollar Tree as well. And you'll need 2 bundles of those. And all I'm doing is just wrapping this all around. You want to make sure it's tight. And then if it's not, you can always push it all together as long as you don't glue that part. So kind of once you hot glue, you're kind of stuck with what it looks like unless you really want to tear it apart, then go right ahead. But I always just try to make it super, super tight so you don't see the wire through this, because I feel like rope does kind of shift around the circular part. I know there's like a different way you can do these wreaths. I can't remember who I've seen do them, but I know there's different ways, but I just like the way this looks, just wrapped all the way around. And then this really doesn't take that long, and I say these are really super and easy because I feel like they really truly are. There's not a whole lot to these besides a bunch of glue and flowers usually, so that's why I find them so easy, and it takes just under 30 minutes to make, which I think is incredible, especially when you're making crafts. You want something done, you want it done now. This status is one of my favorite things this year from the Dollar Tree. I've used this a lot and I will use it until it's gone. Actually, I think it's gone, so I probably won't see it a whole lot more. Adding that, and then these were from Walmart. I like these little pumpkins and pine cones and gourds. I think they're really cute. I added some more status because I didn't think it was enough, and then just glued the pine cone and the pumpkin in the center. And that was it for this one. This is a pumpkin wreath, and I don't think they sell this exact one at Dollar Tree anymore. This is probably quite a few years old, but I'm going to use that along with burlap, some of these white roses from Dollar Tree, and I'm also using a wood plaque from the Dollar Tree. So I'm just pointing out where I'm going to be wrapping the burlap, and I'm going to keep the center open, and I'm going to wrap the burlap because I kind of needed somewhere to glue the roses and also hide the orange of the pumpkin. So that is what I'm doing now, is just hiding the orange. Then once that part was done, I just ripped all the roses apart and started gluing them to the pumpkin. I also needed to cover the stem because you can still see the orange and the green. I was going to use this jute rope from Amazon, but it did not work, so I just went back with regular nautical rope from the Dollar Tree. If you can't find that, you can always use twine. And then this is a little wood plaque that I'm using for the center. And then all I did was go in with my silhouette and print off or cut out a decal for this. And that's it. That was it for this. This has actually turned out way better than I hoped. This next one, you'll need coasters from the Dollar Tree along with some of their burlap. I'm using this chevron burlap ribbon, and I'm using chalkboard paint, but if you don't have that, you can just use a black spray paint, or you can even just use some black paint. I'm just making a simple bow to add to the top. I also used just the plain burlap from the Dollar Tree as well. And I just hot glued the bow on there, and then I also just started hot gluing the coasters on here as well. This is more of like a hanger or like a wall hanger, a door hanger, more than a wreath, but I thought this was still so cute and I wanted to share this with you. And then once everything was glued to the burlap, I just took some stencils to write out the word fall on here. And that was it for this one. Very, very simple. I used chalk. If you didn't want to use chalk, you can definitely use markers or chalk markers or paint, whatever you choose. And I love this one. This is an oldie but a goodie, and I just wanted to show it just one more time. This last one is an embroidery hoop wreath. I have seen many of these on Pinterest and I just love them. I picked it up at a yard sale, and I'm also using a burlap sheet. This is from Burlap Fabric, and I'm just going to be putting this in between the burlap, or not the burlap, the embroidery hoop, and then I'm going to be cutting the back off. And then I'm just going to be adding a simple sign from Dollar General. This is only $1. They have some really, really cute stuff, so make sure you check out Dollar General. So if you can't find any other cute signs at Dollar Tree, yeah, go check out there. So I made a bow, and I'm just going to be placing this on the bottom. I'm not the best bow maker, so I just put this one at the bottom, and then I had another bow from Walmart I just placed right over the top, and it just looked more full and fall, and I love this wreath. This has to be one of my favorites I have ever made. You guys, that's it for the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure you give it a thumbs up. And if you are new to my channel, I would love if you consider sticking around and subscribing. But yeah, that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed 20 fall DIY wreaths on a budget. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!